friends! Welcome back to our chapter reading. Today we are continuing with Snow Day, written by Marsha Thornton Jones and Debbie Dady, and illustrated by Amy Woomer. So when we left off last time, they were worried because the dogs realized that they didn't know where Bubba was. So let's see what happens. Chapter 9, Blizzard of the Century. Bubba's probably already asleep, Floyd said. Bubba, I called. Still, he didn't answer. The only thing I heard was Clyde's snoring. I had a very bad feeling. Find Bubba, I told all the dogs around me. Let me tell you, we searched every inch of that sleeping room. Bubba simply wasn't there. Fan out, I said sharply. Check this whole school. Without a word, dogs raced off to find Bubba. In 20 minutes, they were back. No Bubba. Where is he? Blondie asked, sounding very worried. I bounded over to the window to peer out. Has anyone seen Bubba since we went out for exercise? I asked. All the dogs shook their heads. Oh my gosh, Blondie whined. Bubba is out there in the blizzard of the century. And there's Jack the Wonder Dog barking, trying to call for Bubba. Maybe he's just hiding under one of the blankets, Woodrow suggested. I ran around the room, tossing blankets, doggy beds, and rugs into the air. Bubba wasn't under any of them. Floyd nudged the sleeping dogs just to make sure Bubba wasn't hiding behind them. No Bubba. Okay, everybody, think, I said. When was the last time you spoke to Bubba? Everyone was quiet for a minute, except for some toe licking. Floyd finally spoke up. Bubba said he didn't want to be where he wasn't wanted. He knew Sweetcakes didn't want him here. Sweetcakes stood up and shook. The pup has that right. I don't want any of you here. This is my home. And there's all the dogs looking out the window, trying to figure out where Bubba is. Woodrow didn't waste any time. He waddled over to Sweetcakes and got nose to nose. Listen here, Sweetcakes, Woodrow growled. This isn't funny. If you know where Bubba is, you tell us now. I closed my eyes. I did not want to see Sweetcakes gobble up Woodrow. But it didn't happen. Sweetcakes sat down and scratched her ragged ear before answering. Don't get your fleas all worked up. I don't know where that pup is now. There's Woodrow telling Sweetcakes she better help out if she knows. I didn't want to believe Sweetcakes, but I did. We all looked out the window into the play yard. That was the last place everyone had seen Bubba. I pressed my nose against the cold glass. The snow fell so fast it looked like a white curtain. Blondie looked out the window beside me. Oh, Jack, Blondie moaned. What are we gonna do? I shivered. I don't know how, but somehow I've got to get out in that blizzard and save Bubba. Chapter 10, Big Mistake. I pressed my nose to the window. There was no sign of Bubba. But then the blowing snow was as thick as a cloud. Oh, Jack, Blondie whined. Bubba must be scared. And cold, Floyd added. I was a wonder dog. I had to do something. I pushed my nose against the window, trying to shove it up. It was locked tight. All I got was a bruised nose. Excuse me, Casanova said, coming up beside me. There's Jack the Wonder Dog trying to push the window up. Not now, I told the tiny fellow. I have a job to do. I went to the door. It was closed tight. Maybe I could get Fred to come. I barked. Not just a little bark, a wonder dog bark. Then I waited. I waited a long time. No Fred. Casanova hopped in front of me. Jack, could I say something? Later, Casanova, I told him. I have to think. I sat down to scratch and figure out what to do. Somehow, I had to get that door opened. I looked down at the tiny crack of carpet. A dog can do two things, bark and dig. Maybe I could dig myself out. I pawed frantically at the carpet. I dug until my paws were stinging and my breath came in ragged pants. The only thing I got was a long piece of carpet stuck between my claws. I plopped down, my nose jammed against the door. I couldn't do it. There was no way out. Bubba might freeze to death and there was nothing I could do about it. I was so sad I howled. All of a sudden, a tiny little nose thrust itself in front of my eyes. It was Casanova. "Maybe I can help," he said. "You?" I asked. "How could a tiny pup like you help?" "I'm little," he said, "so I'm used to looking up." There's Casanova talking to Jack. He must have an idea. I sighed. "It's nice to know you look up to me," I told the tiny guy. "But this isn't the time to talk about that." Casanova shook his head. "I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the door." To prove his point, Casanova looked straight up at the door handle. "I've watched Fred," he told me. "I think if I could reach that knob, I could open it." I looked at Casanova with new respect. He was tiny, but he had a big brain. "Hop on," I told Casanova, "and hang on tight." Casanova jumped on my back. Casanova crawled up my shoulders, then hopped on my head. He reached up and grabbed the door handle. I heard a tiny click, and the door swung open. "You did it!" Blondie yelped, rushing to my side. We were hit by a cold blast of air. The snow whizzed around us like white fireflies gone berserk. There's Casanova opening up the door. "This is where you get off," I told Casanova. "I'll go the rest of the way myself." "How will you find Bubba?" he asked. I peered through the falling snow. Wind blew back my ears and made my eyes tear up. The backyard seemed mighty big. It could take hours of digging through the snow. I had no choice. Without answering Casanova, I braced myself against the wind and trudged ahead. All I saw was white. The trees looked like giant snow cones. Bushes were cotton balls. The grass was a giant cloud. With everything covered in snow, I didn't know which way to go. I tried to sniff my way, but all I got was a snout full of cold snow that made me sneeze. I admit I was worried. Even if I found Bubba, how would we find our way back to the school in the snow? Giving up is not the way of a wonder dog, but I must admit I was feeling mighty shivery when all of a sudden Blondie appeared beside me. "What are you doing out here?" I asked her. "I can't let you go alone," she said, batting her long eyelashes to get the snow off them. "We'll find Bubba together." My heart beat 3 times faster at her words, but I couldn't let Blondie get lost in the blizzard too. I'm not too proud to admit when I've made a mistake. This time, I'd made a big one. It was too dangerous to be running around in this kind of weather. Blondie and I could get lost. We'd probably be 2 frozen lumps in the snow. There's Blondie joining Jack the Wonder Dog. "I'm sorry," I told Blondie. "This was a bad idea." I hung my head down, but that's when I came up with a Wonder Dog idea. All right, that's all for today. Join me back next time and we'll find out what Jack the Wonder Dog's big idea was, and we'll see if he finds Bubba.